This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. How fast can a deer run? Well, you think pretty fast, you'd be right, between 30 and 40 miles an hour. They can leap up over 8 feet, and they can also swim at speeds of up to 13 miles an hour to get away from danger. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. A whitetail's nose is an incredible tool that is a major contributor in its survival. A whitetail can smell a human scent from about a quarter mile away, between 400 and 500 yards under normal conditions, and potentially up to a half mile away in ideal conditions, 800 to 1,000 yards, with their ability in their nose to pick up scent. Factors like wind speed, humidity, and terrain can significantly influence this air travel, and up to 1 mile away in perfect conditions, a buck can smell doe urine. However, actual distance can vary for multiple factors. So being scent-free, playing the wind, using cover scents, all can help trick that nose. And by using lures in an ideal condition, that buck may be a long way off and you can still bring him in to your hunting location. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. A whitetail doe typically has twins, 2 fawns, but can have between 1 and 3, with 1 fawn being common in the first year of motherhood. Higher quality of habitat and nutrients can increase the likelihood of multiple births, with triplet births occurring about 5% in does in the wild, and quadruple births and quintuplet births are a very rare occasion, but do happen. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. How far can a deer travel in a given day? Well, it can be a couple of 100 yards to several miles, depending on several factors: food availability, their habitat, hunting pressure in some instances, and looking for a mate. During the non-rut periods, a deer can travel 1 to 2 miles in a day on average. During the rut, mainly bucks will travel looking for mates, and they can go up to 5 miles looking for a doe. And in some cases, bucks can travel up to 8+ miles in one day. You've heard that old saying from a hunter that shot a massive buck: "I've never seen this deer before." This is the reason why. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. How long can a whitetail deer go without eating? Well, you'd be surprised by the answer. They can go about a month without eating, especially during winter months when there can be multiple feet of snow on the ground, and they're able to conserve a lot of energy as well. They have a thick coat, they can stay warm, and they've built up quite a lot of fat layer over the fall. If you've harvested deer in the early fall versus in late winter, the difference in the back fat that animal has on it. Now, people may think, oh, well, I'll just feed the deer. This can be a very negative impact to the herd, because then the deer feel like they are relying on that human to feed them, and that can actually hurt them in the long run. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. With years of research and data gathered, the peak rut in the northern portions of the United States, Midwest and northern, is about the first week of November to the 3rd week in November. And 80% of the does that will come into estrus during that first cycle will be bred. Following that period, 28 days later on their cycle, that is what's considered the second rut. Bucks will start looking for does in late October and through November, and even into early December in those late hunts where you can lure the bucks in thinking that there is still a viable doe ready to be bred. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. This is your whitetail fun fact of the week. The average lifespan of a whitetail deer is about 4.5 to 6 years old in the wild. We have had deer killed and tested with their teeth. On the rare occasion, they have exceeded that greatly, does being 20.5 years old to 22 years old. And even a former Michigan researcher recounts having a buck aged from Minnesota that was 17 years old. This has been your whitetail fun fact of the week. Here is this week's whitetail fun fact. Georgia's deer herd was so diminished in the mid-20th century, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they had to source deer out from other states. One being Wisconsin. From deer farms, they would bring deer in. This introduced the problem of cranial abscesses into the Georgia whitetail deer herd, according to deer and deer hunter and meat eaters. This also demonstrated the potential of disease transmissions and localized genetic effects through this importation of deer. However, it significantly contributed to the Georgia whitetail deer population, according to Game and Fish magazine and Realtree Camel. Apparently it's done quite well. When you sign up for a big game license in the state of Georgia, you are given, or you can harvest, up to 12 deer a year. 10 antlerless only doe or button bucks, and 2 bucks, with one having specific criteria in order to meet. This has been your Whitetail Fun Fact of the Week. This is your Whitetail Fun Fact of the Week. Early portions of September is when the antler growth is complete and the velvet begins coming off of the antlers. Bucks will always eat the velvet that comes off their antlers. It's a superfood. It has a lot of nutrients and vitamins in it. Their body has worked all spring and summer in order to get the antlers where they're at, and they can be depleted. So they also will utilize that velvet. They'll rip it off with their teeth or brush up against something soft, however they can get it removed, and eat it in order to remove the bloodiness of it to prevent predators from attacking them. This has been your Whitetail Fun Fact of the Week. This is your Whitetail Deer Fun Fact of the Week. When it comes to what states house the biggest bucks, well, Boone and Crockett has it broke down. That's a measurement of the inches of an antler. There are the top 8, and then there are some bonus states. We'll go from 8 to 1. Kansas, number 8. 7, Missouri. 6, Kentucky. 5, Ohio. 4, Minnesota. 3, Iowa. Number 2 is Illinois. And number 1 for the biggest bucks in the country, Wisconsin, with over 1,800 recorded Boone and Crockett bucks. The number 1 county in the country for big bucks, Buffalo County, Wisconsin, which is on the western side, and 6 out of the top 20 counties for big bucks in the country come right out of Wisconsin. Bonus states is Texas, Arkansas, and Tennessee. This has been your Whitetail Deer Fun Fact of the Week.